I feel like if you've been watching my channel, you probably know that this next video is leading up to another video, which is a natural evolution of the path I've been following, which is getting all these batteries and basically being obsessed with backup power. So today's video, I'm gonna get into this. It's my circuit breaker box. I'm going to be monitoring my power. I want to actually see what I'm using to better understand what I'm about to do. So I got this in the mail. This is a Sun Gold Power pure sine wave combined inverter and a charger, and this thing is freaking huge. I mean, seriously, hand for scale, like holy bananas. But this thing has a 6,000 watt inverter. It does have two-phase. I really doubt it's going to run anything super big like an air conditioning unit or anything like that. But what it made me realize is that I realistically have no legitimate idea of what I consume in my house. And furthermore, I don't know what different things in my house consume. Like, let's say over a night, if I wanted to make through a night running certain things like my server room, stuff like that. So I'm basically about to jump into the solar game with a full-on inverter. I got batteries on the way. I am just YOLOing the crap out of this to try to figure out if I can do it and not blow myself up. But before I do that, I'm gonna install this. This is basically a home energy monitor. It connects to your phone, it's smart, and it tells you, if you want to get it too, how much power I or you use. Roll the intro. Now, Emporia did not send this to me. This is another thing that I purchased on my own. Believe it or not, sometimes it's just easier to buy stuff yourself. You don't have to deal with them and their requirements. So basically, this is the smart device, and these are the accessories, these are the hookups. This thing is supposed to be super easy to install because all these little electrical clamps, once I take this panel off, just kind of loop around things. The only thing that I saw online was that these cables are super long and it's kind of turns into a nest, like a rat's nest on the inside. So we'll see how that goes. But let me get all this unboxed. Look at that, look at that. Don't be afraid, this is only enough power to kill me like 20 times. No big deal, but just if you're doing this at home, be really careful. And ideally, I should, turn off the power. I mean, I totally turned off the power. So, look at this. Look at this. You see on the bottom here, right? This is the load, and this is the source. So it's showing you which way the electricity goes. This is gonna clamp around both of those. I mean, there's two of them here, as you can see. So that is measuring, because there's two phases to your electricity. So that is measuring both phases that are coming in, and it's gonna basically measure the entire flow of electricity through your panel. And then each one of these individually, see that, also has the flow and the load, right? So those go around each individual wire. And then you assign it, say, hey, that's for the washer, it's for the garage, server room, whatever it is. And then, I mean, as simple as that sounds, you just have to plug them into this. Now, really, they plug in with headphone jacks, which is kind of what I was seeing online as far as why it can turn into kind of a big cluster F in there, because pretty much you can't snip these wires and make them shorter without potential. I mean, you could. Would you want to, though? You're going to end up with a bunch of extra wires, and it could look like a rat's nest in there. I've seen some installations where they just looked really terrible. I'm going to try not to do that, but you never know. So this device can monitor up to 16 different circuits, and this is going to be the Wi-Fi hookup. Has this little Wi-Fi antenna. Basically, this runs off 2.4 gigs, and you take this, and you create a hole, and you shove it through the hole. That way you can get Wi-Fi. There's not really a lot of holes up there, so I'm gonna be shoving it down a hole down there. Once you get that installed, though, get all this connected. Bada bing, bada boom. Oh yeah, I guess you have to hook up power too, but small stuff. I gotta be 100% honest here. That was probably one of the most nerve-wracking things I've done. Like, I was so nervous. I started sweating. Like, these things scare me. Like, they really do. Rightfully so. Just one touch and I'd just be like, "Ugh." But what I did do is I hooked both of these up with the correct flow. You see how it has that arrow? So this is going up to the meter. This is going down into the box. So I got the correct flow, and I kind of sort of try to route them behind stuff just to, make it somewhat clean on both sides. And this is going to be just kind of sitting down here somewhere, like right there. There it is. Installed. Ding! Now this is the power supply. It's plugged right into the bottom. I got power, neutral, and then blue and red. I gotta be honest, don't know what the blue and red for, but they did give me nice little 2 clips of wire here so I could tap in somewhere on this board. Obviously I have plenty of neutral to tap into. That's not a big deal. But I will have to come off one of these breakers. I don't know which one. Not sure. There we go. Now, if you guys don't know this, you have a 2-phase system, right? Basically, you have 2 of these main powers, it's different phases, but as this goes down, it kind of zigzags. So when you have a circuit right here and right here, it's actually running off 2 different phases. They use the same neutral, but it has 2 different phases. So the red wire, I hooked up to 1 phase. The black wire, I hooked up to a different phase, and then the white and the blue wires, I just hooked up to neutral. So now that that's done, turn it on again. Look at this. So these are double circuits that are just on one thing, but you can see how kind of clustered together they are, right? I only got a few more, so I shouldn't have a problem getting them all fit, but you can definitely see with all these wires hanging out how easy it is for this to become a rat's nest. Over here is going to be a little bit different because they're way more spaced out. It's going to be a lot easier. Up there is the same thing as well, but this area right down here is definitely the roughest. Whoa! Oh, Jesus, look at that. Okay. Hear me out. So after combining stuff, I have 2 left over, right? Because I just double tapped a lot of wires over here, double tapped a couple wires over there. Pretty much what I'm gonna do now is set this up with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and everything that it needs to do, and then just kind of sort of play around with the app and see what I think about it. And then before I make this look better, which it will look better, I just want to make sure that this is what I want to do. Because I want to use all the sensors, but I don't know where I want all the sensors to be. So, yeah. And it keeps beeping. I don't know why. And there we have it. Look at that. I have the app downloaded, configured, updated, installed, connected to Wi-Fi. It's showing me I'm using 4 kilowatts right now. 4 kilowatts for the entire house. I am not running a furnace or an air conditioning at the moment. Right now it's nice outside, so I don't have air conditioning on. But 4 kilowatts. That's interesting. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time with this device because I don't want this to just be like hooked up, oh cool, and then make a video. So I want to play with the app. I want to configure all the sensors and I want to get everything going. So I'm going to pause this video and pick up later. And fast forward exactly 1 month later. That's right, October 17th is when I installed the Emporia View Smart Home Energy Monitor. Today is November 17th, so I gave myself exactly 1 month. There's a couple things that I've learned with this that I wanted to share, and I definitely don't have the experience in a different home energy monitoring system to compare things apples to apples. So I'm just going based off of what I've learned with this device so far. First of all, wow, kind of a clutter. When I left the video, I was like, oh, well, I'm just gonna run this for a while. And I literally just now finished it up today to make it look better. That took a little bit. I had to go through each one, unplug it, run it behind the power wires, making sure I don't accidentally touch the wrong thing and die. And after repeating that process, about 16 different times, I finally kind of sort of got it to look a little bit better. Either way, it does close and I was able to get the lid back on, but it did take a little bit of Velcro to help clean it up. Now, it didn't come with any kind of way to stick it to the panel, and I don't know, that might be against the rules or something, but I thought to myself, why not stick it to the panel? So sticky Velcro it was. I stuck some Velcro to the back and then to the panel, and then I stuck it to the back wall. And then after I rerouted everything, as you can see, it all kind of sort of fits and is a little bit cleaner. And I kind of use my expert computer cable management skills and Velcro wrapped the wires, you know, just generic stuff. But it looks a lot better. The cover is now finally on, and here we are. I'm gonna pull this up on the screen so you can kind of see what I'm talking about as I talk about it. But one thing I noticed after everything is said and done, after all of the testing and everything like that, is that, well, I use a lot of power for computers.
No way.
It turns out that I actually use anywhere between 30 to 50% of my daily consumption is with computers. So if you've been following me along, I've installed this sub panel, I'm doing solar stuff, and like I've been dabbling a lot in electricity, which is why I got into the smart home monitoring thing, because I'm trying to gauge what I would need for electricity in my solar array. And I really just kind of figured out that I'm pretty much running just RMS at like 1500 to 2000 watts for my computers. Yes, I am mining. I have a 2080 Ti, a 1080 Ti, a 3080, or I'm sorry, a 3090, and an RTX 4000. So those are all active and running. Wait, I take that back. Right now, the 3090 is not running. But either way, with that running, it's 30 to 50% of my power, if not a little bit more. Right now it says I'm using 3,800 watts, 3,800. 50%, this is without the 3090, 50% is just my computer rack. That's just my computer rack. And if you see on the screen, right down here, where it says basement/bathroom, I actually run another miner, which is on the, up against the wall in the crafting room, or whatever you want to call it, 3D print area. That one is running 595 watts. That is the miner running the 2080 Ti and the RTX 4000. So realistically, you start adding all this up, it's like 65% of my power currently is in consumption of computers. I use a lot of power running the sub panel and then monitoring both the sub panels, which that's kind of the thing with this, is that if you have a 240, you can put it on one and then just multiply it by 2. But since I ran a sub panel and then ran some outlets from the sub panel, it's going to be off balance. So I'm going to run that for a while and just kind of keep 2 monitors on it, just to keep it like that, just to see if it's always balanced and trying to get the best possible readings. There's only 16 slots in this device. And here at the bottom, you can see there's 15% of my power usage unaccounted for. That's 586 watts. I did not hit every single line with this device. You don't have enough. I mean, this already has 16 slots. It plugs in with headphone jacks, and it's just, that's it. That's all you get. You get 16. There was a couple lines that I took 2 lines and merged into one, and I personally have not tested out whether or not it makes a difference if you wrap 2 lines into one or not. So it is a chance that some of that, miscalculated or unbalanced power is being missed because I'm combining some power lines. But yeah, you have 16. So you really just kind of have to measure what you think is going to be the heavy hitters. Things like your washer, your dryer, your microwave, your server room, etc. The thing I really like about this app, though, is that you can break it down. Obviously, you can see it in real time every second. So 3,800 watts, 3,900 watts is what I use, 30 seconds. And then if we flip this over to hours, so I use 70 kilowatts per day. Sorry, not hours, a day. So I use 70 kilowatts a day. That's interesting. What is that in amp hours? 70 kilowatts. See, at 240 volts, I want to say like 300 amp? No, that can't be right. That can't be right. Hashtag math. Either way, 70 kilowatt hours in a day. If I click on week, this is nice. It says I have used 264 kilowatts in a week. And in the past month, I have used 1,536 kilowatts. I'm getting these names probably mixed up, but you can see what I see. Pretty much, I use a decent amount of power. And I just added the sub panel like very recently. So that's not even counted into this. So I can't get an accurate percentage because I've been messing with my power pretty much over the last month. So 1,536 over the last 30 days. I feel like that's a lot. One thing that I definitely learned is that headphone jacks are definitely not meant to be fondled as you're moving stuff around and trying to get things situated. They can fall out very easily, which is what happened when I installed a sub panel. This is not a normal use case. Most people don't go around installing sub panels in their house for fun every month, but I did that. And then I realized later on down the line that some of my readings were being like thrown off and they were less accurate. I had like 25% unaccounted for versus 15 or 10. So I went in there and looked, and I just literally had one just barely pop out. As far as the wireless connection though, it does have the antenna that you install, and I just pushed it right through the bottom and I haven't had any issues. I have great, like fantastic Wi-Fi in my house, so I didn't really expect to have any issues, but still, for those of you who are wondering wherever your electric box is, if you're gonna be able to get signal, just know that the antenna does pop through the top or bottom or side or wherever you wanna put it, probably the top or bottom, and it will like be outside of the metal cage that is your electrical box. Other than that, this thing was super simple to install. It actually took longer to cable manage and make it, fit in the box than it did for me originally to install it. So if I were you, I would recommend just cable management as you wire it. That way you can do it a lot better than I did because, I'm a terrible example. I do definitely recommend, however, that you turn off power to your box, okay? Don't YOLO it like I did. Do not risk yourself, okay? There's a few times where I thought I got close. Never shocked myself though, which is surprising. Never shocked myself. At the end of the day, if you don't feel comfortable, fiddling around in your electrical box, I would probably recommend hiring a professional. That's what I'm just gonna stick with. Hire a professional. Dodging lawsuits like, whoa. If, however, you are willing to take on this adventure yourself, I highly recommend it because before this, I had absolutely no idea what my energy consumption was. I had no basis, like nothing. I had no idea. I really literally just look at my bill in terms of how much it was. And sometimes I don't even notice that because it's automatic withdrawal. So unless it's like super high, I usually don't even notice it. So I just don't know. I don't look at my bill. I can look at it. It doesn't mean anything to me, but now I know. The solar inverter that I have, that I installed with this sub panel, is a 6,000 watt solar inverter. It can peak up to like 12 for like 20 seconds if something kicks on. But I got this because I wanted to know how far the 6,000 watt inverter would go. And based off of everything that I'm seeing here, if the power goes down, I could probably run pretty decent with some powers if I turn off, non-essential stuff like power down the servers and computers or the heavy hitters like that. If I power all that stuff down, I could easily probably coast by with 1,500, 2,000 watts. But if everything is running, we're talking AC, miners, computers, servers, everything is running, I can get up to the 7,000 to 8,000 watts. It gets up there pretty quick. So installing the Emporia View Smart Home Energy Monitor did help give me a baseline. Now I know where my numbers are. I know what I use. And I could look, let's say next summer, and say, oh wow, in the peak of the heat of the day, this is what I use. Let's say 8,000 or 9,000 watts. Or if I'm cooking dinner, which I never cook dinner, but if I did, I could say, wow, the electric stove uses a lot of power. It also helps me prep for just in case power goes down. So I live in Tornado Alley. Tornado comes through and power's down for a week, and I want it, eventually I'm gonna have solar panels and all that other stuff, and assuming those don't fly away in a tornado, then I'll at least know kind of sorta what I should expect. Well guys, that's it for today. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, post those in the comments section down below. As always, thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and have yourself a great day.